Hello and welcome to Geek It Plays Epic Landscape Tutorials. This is episode number 10 of the series called Tree of Life. And in this tutorial we're going to be creating some nice, interesting looking trees. So let's start by moving up our camera. Maybe zoom out a little bit and let's create a regular terrain. Let's increase the size. And we're just going to position this down in the left corner of our main camera view and near the foreground. Okay, so we have a nice slope here. Let's right click and edit object and let's increase the resolution. I'm going to rotate this terrain around and use the other side of the mountain. Okay, this side is a little bit more shallow. As you notice the difference here. Okay, let's also go to our render options and click on render to screen, and let's use the user defined aspect ratio, and we're going to set it to 480 by 240. And this will create a panoramic camera view. Okay, so let's create another terrain next. We'll increase the size. Let's place it about here. Let's edit object. And we're going to increase the resolution to 512 by 512. And we're going to add another terrain right here between these two, okay? So we're just using a regular terrain. And we don't want to make it too big, we just want to kind of fill up this space right between. May just stretch it out a little more, maybe squish it down a little bit. Okay. Okay, now let's edit object again. Let's increase the resolution to 512 by 512 for this one as well. So here we have the shapes for our two mountains, and this will be like our pathway. And in the middle here we're going to add another terrain and fill up this empty space here. And let's edit object. And let's change the resolution to 1024 by 1020. And then we're going to just take the peak off a little bit. Let's go to preview and preview what we have so far. So you see we've created a nice looking terrain right here. Okay. Let's adjust our main camera a little bit. We need to see more of our sky. So more like this. And looking at this view, I think we want to add some more terrain in the background. So let's zoom out and let's create one. And let's place it over here on this side. And the other one, let's stretch it out big and put it on this side. Let's make this one just a little bit bigger. Okay, now here we have this shape for our scene. Okay. Now that we have the terrain set how we want it, the next step is to add material. So let's select all the terrain and go to materials, and let's use vegetation and orange rock. Okay. And let's edit it by double clicking, and let's set the scale down to 50. Okay. Let's just do a quick preview to look and see what that material looks like on our terrain. So it's starting to look nice. Let's apply some plants to our terrain. So let's just click on our first terrain, double click and add an ecosystem, and you'll notice the scale moved up to 100. We're going to set that back to 50. Okay, let's go and add a plant. We're going to choose the cherry tree and click OK. And let's also add another tree, the plum tree. And let's add one more, and let's choose the maple tree. And that will give us a nice variation and diversity in our trees. Let's increase the density on this. We'll leave the decay for now, and let's make the scale about 190. Okay, maybe increase the density all the way. Populate. Let's preview what we have. And I think these trees are a little bit too big, so let's go and change the scale. Let's just overall scaling down. Okay, populate, and also let's go to our density tab and let's set the influence of decay to 2%. Okay, let's view that again. So now you see our first terrain has a nice population of trees here. Okay, that's looking good. But you notice that this back terrain is hiding in the trees now, so let's just adjust it a little bit and peek it up over there so we can just see a small piece on the background. And I'm going to stretch this out so that our peak isn't quite so sharp. It'd be a nicer transition. Okay, let's go to our terrain number 2. Let's add some points of interest. Let's click on Ecosystem, and we're going to set the scale to 50 and add a plant. And you'll probably notice that we're doing the same things as we did to the last terrain. And you could actually go in and save that ecosystem as a material and use it again. However, we're just going through this to remember how it's done and kind of remember what settings we are using. Let's move down the scaling again, populate, and let's render that. Let's just give it a second to render. And because of how we set the terrain, it's kind of created a wonderful clearing right here so we can view the rest. Okay. Let's work on our terrain number 4 here in the middle, and let's open it. And we want to do some similar things here, so let's add an ecosystem and scale it down, and let's add our plants, the plum tree and cherry tree and our maple tree. Okay? And we're going to add some other things here. So before you populate this, go to your terrain and let's zoom in on that. And let's add a rock with our rock button. And we're going to put it on the top of this mountain and go ahead and make it bigger. And this is going to be a placeholder. We don't want the plants to populate in this area, so we're just putting this here so it doesn't populate. Okay, let's go to the density and bump it up. And the scaling, we're going to scale it down because this terrain's a little bit further away. Let's populate. And one thing we're looking for in this preview is whether or not the density needs to be scaled down so that it's not overpopulating. Okay. So you can see it needs a little bit of decay right here, so let's go to our density tab, increase the influence to 5%, and let's decrease the density. Let's populate. Okay. And I think it's starting to look very nice already. So let's go to terrain number 5, and this time we're just going to add an ecosystem with just one plant. Okay, so let's just choose the cherry tree. Okay, and increase the density and decrease the scaling and populate. And let's do that with terrain number 6 as well. Just adding some trees because it'll be far away. So scale it way down. Populate. Maybe it's just a little bit too small. Let's repopulate that. Okay. And now we're going to start having even more fun. So we're going to start with our 4th terrain here, this one in the middle. We're going to zoom in right above our place setter here. Okay. And let's go to edit our material. Let's click on paint, and then let's move these windows out of the way so we'll have a clear view of our window here. And then we're going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to select all 3 of the trees and go to the brush, and let's click restrict to underlying object. And we're going to just go set right above the rock, and we're going to click and hold it down. Okay. Let's increase the brush radius a little bit and do the same thing. Let's uncheck limit density and let's do it again. Okay, and you can see right here it's starting to increase this area right here. And what's happening right here is the trees are just starting to build one on top of another. So it's increasing the size. This is a very good technique to do if you have like a Vicom pad that is touch sensitive, but if you just have a mouse, then is also capable of doing this. And we're just creating this excellent looking huge tree right here in the middle. And let's preview it so you can get a better idea of what it's going to look like. This looks like one huge big tree right here. Okay, let's close this ecosystem painter. Okay, and we're going to add a tree, and let's choose the summer cherry tree. There's just a couple things we want to do with this tree we're going to have to manually do. Okay, so let's move it up here. Now let's click Alt, and we're duplicating the same tree, and we're going to move it like this to the side. We're going to rotate it around and place it somewhere around here. It takes a lot of adjusting to get things just right sometimes. Hold Alt again and create another one, and we'll rotate it to this side. And we're just adding to our tree and just making it look like it's falling out. Click Alt again and add a third tree. Let's increase the size, and we'll just place that here in our tree. It needs a little rotating, like this. Okay, so this is how we've positioned the tree. Let's go ahead and preview it and see if we like it or if it needs anything else. Okay, it's starting to look very nice. We can maybe work a little bit more here and add some more falling out here. Okay. Let's go ahead and leave our tree like that for a little bit, and let's move our main camera. We want to just offset the tree a little bit and not have it quite right in the center. Okay. Next, let's go up and load an atmosphere, and we're going to choose the red sun. And this particular atmosphere was created previously to this tutorial. And this, along with all the other materials and supplementals, are available for purchase in the Epic Landscape Booster Pack, and you can purchase that on our website at www.geekatplay.com. And it's not really necessary to purchase these. You can just view some of the other tutorials in this series that will teach you to create materials and atmospheres. But it does save some time, and it's fun to have. And now we're going to go ahead and do our final rendering. Let's actually set it to a higher quality. Let's do superior quality. And click OK, and we'll render our work. And you can see how this atmosphere is really adding a lot to this scene. Some things you could do would be apply some haze and fog, and that might add a little bit more distance. But overall, I think we've created a really nice landscape here. This tree really makes you wonder what kind of a magical place this is, and just kind of pulls you into the scene. And we've created distance here in the front with the lighting. And I'd like to thank you for watching this tutorial by Geek at Play Studios, and please come visit us on the web at www.geekatplay.com.